What's up, guys? Okay, I have been wanting to make this video for the last like 2 months. As a lot of you probably know, I was in law school for a whole semester. I went to University of San Diego and I no longer attend that school. So I've been getting a lot of questions about why I decided to leave law school, about my experience while I was there, and most importantly, what I'm going to do next. And it was all way too much to try to fit into like a 1-minute TikTok video, so I'm putting it on YouTube. Also, I'm sweating, already sweating, because I hate talking about this. I don't hate talking about it. I just, talking about the future, talking about the past, it's not the most fun thing, okay? Anyways, before I talk about why I left law school, I feel like it's probably important to talk about why I went in the first place. So rewind to when I was an undergraduate at San Diego State University. I majored in international security and conflict resolution. So if you study something like that, the most frequently asked question is usually, oh, what are you gonna do with that? And I had like explored multiple different routes that I could go with that major, but something I always came back to was law. I knew that I was passionate about foreign language and passionate about helping immigrant communities, and I thought, oh, I can use both of these skills and I can bring them into a career in law, and I can be really successful and I can really help a lot of people, which is definitely true. Like, I definitely could have done those things. I definitely plan to still do those things, just not as a lawyer. But what really made me decide to actually pull the trigger and go to law school was the pandemic. So before March, I had planned on taking a gap year because I had taken the LSAT and I didn't get like the score that I really wanted. So I was going to take a gap year, figure it all out, figure out if I actually even wanted to do law, and then apply for the year after. But then March came around and all of a sudden we're thrown into this pandemic, and I realized that what I had planned to do during my gap year, which was move to Mexico City and transfer with Lululemon, which I was working for at the time and I'm working for again now. I was going to transfer with them to a store in Mexico City, and I was just going to immerse myself in Spanish and really connect to the language because I had never really done that before besides crossing to Tijuana. But since we were in a pandemic, I was like, okay, well, I definitely can't move to another country right now. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I kind of expected my parents and my family and just all my friends and everyone basically to expect me to have a plan for right after I graduated, even though that probably wasn't the case. Like, they probably would have understood that we're in a pandemic and these things like take time and you have to figure it out. But without telling anybody, I just decided to apply to law school in March, like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And long story short, I applied and I got in and I decided, okay, I'm going to law school. Every time I had thought of going to law school and becoming a lawyer, I had thought of doing immigration law. So that's what I went into the experience thinking in my head, okay, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to become an immigration lawyer, I'm going to help immigrant communities, I'm going to help refugee communities. And that's what really drove me to even want to pursue a career in law. Fast forward to my first and only semester, I started actually meeting lawyers and researching further into what a career in immigration law would look like. I should probably mention that before I went to law school, I don't think I had ever even met a lawyer, or at least not in any sort of like real capacity. But once I did start meeting lawyers, especially my professors and different speakers we would have at different networking events, I just started to realize that career, the day-to-day career itself, was not something that I wanted for me. I really enjoyed my classes. I really enjoyed everything I was learning. I participated a lot. I met really cool people. But there's so much talk when you're in law school about selling your soul to corporate law and like doing all these things, because at the end of the day, it's a career and you need to make money. And that was something that came up for me a lot, was that everyone kept telling me, oh, you're not gonna make money in immigration law. You're not gonna make money in immigration law. And I would keep saying like, oh, that's not important to me. That's not important to me. And really at the end of the day, I didn't want to do immigration law because I wanted to make money. I wanted to do immigration law so that I could help immigrant communities who are marginalized and taken advantage of in the legal system. But it still stuck with me as something that I needed to consider. Like, I was going to be spending like almost $200,000 going very, very far into debt. Then when I had started talking to immigration lawyers and they were telling me things like, oh yeah, a lot of immigration work is actually done by people who work in corporate law, and then they do pro bono cases that are immigration related. And immigration lawyers were actually telling me that that was like a route I should pursue. I started to realize that's not what I want to do. I don't want to work a corporate law job just so that I can do immigration stuff on the side. I don't want to have to sell my soul so that I can pay off my student loans just so that I can do something on the side that I'm passionate about. But really that just kind of sparked me trying to figure out if it was a career that I actually even wanted to go into. Like, was I really going to be able to make the biggest difference that I wanted to make in the world as a lawyer, or would I make a bigger difference somewhere else? Although it was a really, really tough decision, I still think about it all the time and it gives me like a lot of anxiety to think about. I am very confident that I'm not meant to be a lawyer. And although I'm not 100% on what I want to do or what I'm supposed to do in life. I know that it would really bug me if I never gave my dreams and my passions a fair chance, which kind of brings me to what I'm planning on doing next. So when I moved to California, I had kind of had this idea in the back of my head that I wanted to try acting. I had always wanted to be an actor since I was a little kid, and I guess I kind of thought that moving to California would make like some big opportunity just fall in my lap, but I never really actually tried. I never gave it a fair chance. I never sought out opportunities, and I think that the reason for that is mostly because of fear of rejection, fear of failure, and rejection and failure are just not things that I'm afraid of anymore. In the last like 3 years, I've really grown into myself, started to like love who I am and feel comfortable in my own skin. So I think that if there was ever a time to actually try and do what I really want to do deep down, it's now. And yeah, I definitely might fail. I definitely might not even be good at it, but I know there's a 100% chance that I won't make it as an actor if I don't try. And maybe there's only a 99% chance that I won't make it if I do try. I think that I had kind of been on this educational conveyor belt, I like to call it. In law school, they call you a KJD because you go from kindergarten to your Juris Doctorate without taking a break. But I really needed to get off of that track because it wasn't leading me in a direction that felt authentic. It wasn't leading me down a path that felt like my own. Like I didn't feel like I was paving my own way in the world. I kind of felt like I was just doing what everyone expected of me, doing what I expected of me. I had always been a really good student, and I was like, oh, I'll just continue to be a student. Also, I feel like when you are a student, there's a sense of security because you know that the only thing that's really expected of you is being a student and getting your education. So I was kind of like, oh, as long as I just stay in school, no one's going to ask me questions. I won't really have any real responsibilities. But that is obviously not a way to live your life. So even though there's a lot of uncertainty now in my life, I feel really good knowing that the direction I'm going is authentic, it's true to myself, and that I'm not going to die one day full of regret because I didn't chase my dreams. There's a lot more that I could say about all of this, and I definitely left a lot out of the things I was planning on saying, but that's the general story of why I dropped out of law school. If any of you have any questions about law school generally, about applying to law school, about should you really go to law school, or if you're also considering leaving law school, definitely leave me a comment. I'll answer all the questions that I get in the comments. Also, I'm planning on recording a new video every week for this entire month, so definitely subscribe if you want to know more about what I'll be doing in the next few months. I've got a lot of fun videos planned, so yeah. Also be sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I post a lot of life updates there as well. But yeah, I hope that answered some of your questions. I've been getting a lot of questions on TikTok about why I left law school, and I just kept ignoring them. So, all right, thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.